Good Sunday morning and welcome to Join the Dots. And we've got some very interesting dots to join today, and they almost make me laugh, but I think it's sad more than funny. It's, as the title says, lies, 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 aka official data. So where do we start with these lies, lies, lies masquerading as official data? Well, we start with the US jobs number, which came out Friday. So we found that rather than the 100,000 that everyone was expecting, we got 73,000. And that's the headline, isn't it? But what's the truth below the headline? Because that's what you don't get. How many times in these presentations have I shown you that the truth is hidden, and it's only when you seek the truth can you join the right dots? Otherwise you're just joining rubbish to rubbish to rubbish, and at the end of the day you get rubbish. I'm looking at the official data, and so they added 73,000, not 100,000. Now last month, you might remember, they only added 14,000. Or did they? No, they didn't. They have just revised down May and June figures by 258,000 jobs. 258,000 jobs never existed. But the stock market did quite well, didn't it, in May and June? So they did exist for those investing. Who's going to carry the can for that adjustment? No one. No one. Well, yes, investors, because the markets are down, aren't they, Thursday and Friday? 258,000 revision. Is it a headline? No, the headline is 73,000 new jobs. The revision of losing 258,000 is just a byline, somewhere lost in page 32 of the report. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, as I explained to you in Saturday yesterday, and all through this week really, when looking at the US economy, you have to look at jobs. Jobs is the key to confidence. It's the key to consumer spending. It's the key to a feeling of wealth, of comfort, and therefore the ability to go and buy things when they want them. But they haven't got jobs, have they? They've just lost 258,000 at a stroke of a pen without anyone knowing, unless you look deep into the numbers. This is why I say lies, 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 also known as original statistics. Goodness me. So, again, another dark day for the American economy, another dark day for workers, for prospective workers, for consumption, and remember all those stats I gave you on Saturday about the delinquencies, the growing delinquencies. So here's another 258,000 people who didn't have a job, really. So are they going to be able to pay their credit card loans? Are they going to be able to pay their auto debt? No. It's frightening. Frightening how many times this happens without comment from serious commentators. Just a little byline, little auditor's note at the end of the report that no one reads. So now we come to China, and I've got thanks to Tony from China Update for sending this through on Friday, and I think it's a good one to watch because again it ties in with this theme of the absolute garbage you're fed and which influences markets until the truth comes out. I'm only interested in the truth. You know that by now. Because if you join the dots from rubbish, you end up with rubbish. If you join the dots with the truth, you won't necessarily always end up, but you might end up at the right point and the right assumptions and therefore the right decisions to be made. So we look at China and we look at the manufacturing. And there's a surprising declining confidence. Can you believe it? They've had a property implosion of 4 years standing, okay, which massively affects consumption and confidence, as I've talked about with the US, but that's to come, whereas China has had it. And then there's all sorts of disputes with exports, and there's all sorts of countries putting on tariffs and restrictions and sanctions, and they're surprised that the PMI is only 97.3 or 49.3. They're surprised. What are they thinking? What are they really thinking? So I look at it and I say, I'm surprised it's only 49.3 because it should be a lot less than that, shouldn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, the consumer is tapped out. The consumer's house price has fallen maybe 30 to 40%. The countries that receive exports normally are putting on all sorts of sanctions, tariffs, restrictions. Everyone's reacting to the EV flood. Do you know China's got 100 plus EV companies? And BYD has just scuppered them with its discount package, so it's wrecked the industry. And that's being looked at now very seriously by government. So what is the real figure? Well, the real figure looks like the cargo data out of China says it's 7% down. So not 0.2, not 0.3. Disappointed at 49.3 rather than 49.7. Cargo data, 7% down. Oh, you can't make it up. You just can't make it up. Well, they do though, don't they? They do make it up. The Americans made up the data for the jobs numbers, and the Chinese make up the data for exports, or for rather manufacturing. And then services on top, because obviously once manufacturing declines, services decline, don't they? People don't have the money to buy the services if they haven't got a job. It's not difficult. So I look at all this and I think, well, this is just ridiculous. And then to cap it all, and this is rather nasty, at the end of Tony's report, there is a report of a virus spreading across China. Now, I'm not one for coincidences. I'm one for logic. Okay? And last time we had a coordinated crash around the economies of the world was 2019, and then we had the repo crisis in the States, and voila, we had a pandemic. And after that pandemic, every country was allowed to pour money into the system without limits, because it was a pandemic. And that rescued the economy. So here we have another virus coming out of China. Now, hopefully it won't come out of China. Hopefully it will stay within the boundaries of China. But it's not a good sign to me, because coincidences, I don't see too many. So all in all, there's that famous expression, it's the economy, stupid. Well, in this world today, looking at the US statistics, looking at the Chinese statistics, it's not the economy, stupid. It's everything but the economy. But then you and I and anyone who follows the real data knows it is the economy. Thank you very much.